Right, team, there is one critical change that you must make to the setup of your Meta ads in 2026 so that you get qualified leads through your funnels consistently. Get this right, and you'll see the best return on ad spend you've had in years, because that's what Andromeda's set up to do when you use it in the right way. Get this wrong, and you're going to burn through your ad spend getting broke leads, watching your CPM spike, and seeing your ads crash after 2 days. What matters now more than ever is conditioning the pixel and training the algorithm so that it can find you your best prospects. That means sending Meta back the right data and stop sending it the wrong data. And when you do this, it dramatically increases your ability to get qualified leads, calls, and clients like clockwork. So stick around, because I'm going to show you exactly how to get this set up. And I'm also going to show you a little known qualified call hack that the top 1% of advertisers are using to get a 3x return on ad spend. This is something very few people know about. So let's dive in. Let's go through how the algorithm actually learns from the data you send back to it, because most people have no idea. So when someone takes an action on your website, they fill in a form, they opt in, they make a call or a purchase, that data gets sent back to Meta. And Meta uses that data for two things. The first one is reporting, so you can see what ads are driving what kind of results. But the second is for targeting. Think of it as sending a signal, a data point, so that Meta knows who to target next with your ads. Now, the actions, the behavior that you're tracking are called standard events. So these might be lead if someone's opting in, submit application to kind of sign up to something potentially with you, a call schedule, complete registration for something like a webinar, or maybe a purchase. Now, remember that Meta has billions of data points across its user base. So it has a lot of intelligence to leverage to find out who amongst the people that you're targeting with your ads are most likely to undertake those specific actions. So it's really important that you actually optimize for the right event and therefore send back the data that's going to serve you so it can find more people to undertake the events that you want. So the pixel, the algorithm, operates with what we call a recency bias. What that means is it provides more weight to the new events, to the new things that have happened, than it does to the old events. So if, for example, you've been sending back good data for the last 6 months, but bad data in the last 2 weeks, it's going to provide more weight to that new data than it is to the data 6 months ago. And so you'll start seeing a deterioration in your results. Now, this is actually good news if you've been messing up your tracking, and I'll show you how to fix it later. But it underlines why it's so important to get this right, because you've got to give it the cleanest, the least polluted set of good data that you can in order to train it to find the best possible people for you. So the data that comes back to the platform, back to the algorithm, based on the data that you're sending back, heavily influences and in many ways determines who your ads are likely to get shown to, as Facebook tries to figure out who's most likely to give it the event that you're optimizing for. So it's trying to figure out who's most likely to give you a lead, a schedule, a complete registration, or a purchase. Now, what it does is it uses that data to create what we call prediction batches, okay? Think of them like buckets of people. So when you launch a campaign and when you tell Facebook what you're optimizing for, it is then going to use any of the data that you've given it around targeting, any of the data it's got historically on its users. And it's going to first of all go for who it thinks is most qualified to give you that conversion event, okay? So it's going to predict who are most likely to convert based on its initial predictions. And you're likely to get some reasonable results. It's often why in the first couple of days, people are often feeling pretty happy with their results. But then what it needs to do is start to look more widely. Once it exhausts that bucket, it needs to go into a sort of further bucket of less qualified or unqualified people, using that signal to see who's actually most likely to deliver on that event. Think of it like this. So in any one of these buckets, let's say there's 100,000 people in there. Within that 100,000 people, 10% might be good, or through historical data, might be most likely to schedule a call. They can see through that user's history. They can see how they've reacted to other ads. These kind of people for these kind of offers generally schedule calls or are likely to. Same with lead or same with purchase. So it knows those are the most likely people. And what it's going to do is take that signal from its first read and then use that to kind of go, here when I go more broadly, do those signals ring true? Do they kind of hold true? Or do I need to kind of look a bit more widely again as well? So the quality of the signal you send back here is really important. And then again, for the second batch, you're going to get the same set of signals, and you need to make sure you're sending back that right data. And then using its historical data and its initial predictions and the signal you send back, it's going to start to kind of focus in, and you're going to get a bit more of a mixed batch, some good results, some good days, some bad days. Okay. Now, think of this as a bit of a kind of conditioning process, right? Because most advertisers give up here. They go, look, I got some initial results and then it fell away, and then the results are okay, but it's not really doing very much. And what they've not realized is they're only doing the first part of the conditioning process, and they've stopped before they've really reached the point where it's had a chance to optimize. So let me just zoom out here a little bit. The conditioning process is you've got to do that initial testing to gather that signal. You've then got to refine it in. And when you're sending back the right data, you can go into the kind of promised land, the holy grail, where you've got a really targeted set of signals to allow Meta to find a whole group of highly qualified people. Now, all of this is the conditioning process. But what a lot of people do is they'll either give up here after they get those, the kind of initial couple of days of good results. They won't allow it to go through the whole optimization process. So they never hit the sort of take level that you get here when you've dialed it in. You've got to give the conditioning process a chance to work. Now, that might take $1,000, $2,000. It depends on the nature of your offer, the price of your offer, and what you're optimizing for. But if you stop here, you're never giving it the chance to get there. So you might be thinking, great, all I need to do is send back good data to Meta. Well, here's the problem, and here's what most people are getting wrong. Most people are sending back all the event data, all the conversions, whether those people are qualified or not. So let's say you've got a form submission. The data is being sent back every time someone undertakes that event, no matter whether that person is a qualified lead or unqualified. If someone books a call, the same thing. If someone reschedules, the same thing again. Your tracking doesn't know the difference between a 10K high intent buyer and a browser who's just gathering information. So let's say you're sending back 20 conversion events to Meta, but only 5 of them are actually qualified. The mix of signal it's getting is to go and say, well, these 20 people have converted for the event that this ad is optimized for. So I'm going to go and find more people like the whole 20, whether they're qualified or not, rather than just for the 5 qualified people. Okay. And with Andromeda now, this gets worse because the way the Andromeda platform and algorithm works is it allocates more budget to the ads that are delivering the conversion events. So if you've got if you've got ads that are delivering lots of unqualified people, they will get more budget, even if the better ads delivering the qualified people, because they're getting fewer events, that will get less budget. And so your results get skewed and get all bent out of shape. When you put this filtering in place, Facebook only learns from the data you want it to learn from your qualified people. And so it gets smarter over time instead of getting you progressively worse results over time. So how do you actually determine who's qualified or not and which data to send back, and then make sure you actually only send back the right data? So let's take you through an example. Let's say you're running a VSL funnel for a business-to-business offer, helping someone grow and scale their business. The typical flow in a funnel like that is add to some kind of landing page where you opt in, and then they get to kind of see the video with the VSL, and there's an opportunity to book in a call underneath that. Now, with most funnels, what they do is they just literally enter their details, name, email, potentially phone number, and then they get to go straight through, and that fires the event. But what you need to do instead is have some kind of qualification filter, usually using a qualification question. So for example, instead of just having the add to the landing page straight to the video, you want to have the add to the landing page, and when they opt in, there's a qualifying question here that allows you to determine whether this person is a good fit for you and your offer or not. So, for example, if you're doing a business-to-business offer, you might say, are you currently generating at least $5K a month in your business? Yes or no? Can you invest at least $1,000 a month in your ads? Yes or no? Are you looking to start running ads in the next 30 days? Yes or no? Now, with that question, if they answer yes to the qualifying question, you can then, with the Conversions API and use your CRM, we use Go High Level, filter so that only those are people that say yes fire the relevant event and send that data back to Meta. If people say no, Meta doesn't see that data at all. It doesn't even become visible to them. They know nothing about it, which is the way that you want it. So you're filtering out from the whole data set. You're saying, these are the people that I want. These are the people that I don't want. And so only the good stuff goes back to Meta. Now, the same process is true for schedules. So whether you're using, say, Calendly, whether you're using iClose.io, which is what we use, you will always, or you should always, have a series of qualifying questions before someone can book in a call, so you can understand whether that person is a good fit, whether they're worth you taking a call with or not. So in a typical funnel, let me just give you an example of what this looks like. This is one of the ones that we use. You come to our landing page, and then you click on the button to book in, and you can see here, are you an online coach with 5 to 10 plus clients with $1,000 a month to invest in ads? If you click on yes, the event fires. If you click on no, the event does not. And so it allows us to see who's really relevant for us. So this is one of the critical things, separating those campaigns that are absolutely printing from those that are struggling and seeing that 2-day crash because they're not conditioning the algorithm correctly. Now, if this is something you'd like some help with getting set up in your business, click on the link below, just book in a call. It's just a simple, straightforward chat, no high pressure. If it's right for you, great. If it's not, no problem at all. We'll still do anything we can to help you on that call. So just click on the link below and book in a time for a chat if it feels right for you. So the easiest way to do it is just to set up a simple automation in your CRM system. We use Go High Level. It makes it very, very straightforward. You can just connect to the Facebook Conversions API. You don't need any developer to do it. It's very straightforward to set up. So you've got all the forms that you might have where people opt in. This is just our automation for leads. We have a similar one for schedules, for purchases, for complete registrations, all of the kind of core events that fire depending on the actions that people take. So when they fill in the form, they go through the sort of standard common workflow about creating the contact, updating the opportunity, adding the relevant tags. But then what we do is we add in a condition here. So if they answer yes to the qualifying question, then they are deemed to be a qualified lead, and then and only then does the conversion API fire for that event, for that lead. And we add the qualifying tag, and then we add them to a qualified audience. Okay. If that condition is not met, if they don't answer yes to that question, you'll see that there's nothing set up, no event will fire, and they just get added as a disqualified lead, right? So we don't actually want to send that back to Meta. So it's that simple. We then do the same thing in terms of schedules. We do the same thing for complete registrations. We do the same thing for purchases. So we can make sure that only the best qualified people are sent back, and Meta only learns from that. Very simple setup. You can do this in a few minutes. Now, here's what's going to happen when you implement this, and I want you to be prepared for it because it freaks a lot of people out and stops them from optimizing effectively. The whole mass of your ad campaigns are going to change, and it will, on the surface, look worse, but actually be much better. Let me explain why. So previously, let's say you're spending $1,000 a day on ads, and maybe you're getting 50 opt-ins, and those are $20 per opt-in. So you know roughly that's what it looks like now. Maybe a bit better, a bit worse than that. I'm just using these numbers to make the maths easy. So $1,000 gives you 50 opt-ins. So you're seeing in your ads manager, in Hyros, whatever you use, $20 per opt-in. Now, when you opt in, when you do this filtering strategy, you're going to see those numbers change. Because remember, you're not sending back the unqualified data. They're not going to hit your results column. So you're still going to be spending that $1,000 a day, and you might then only be getting 25 instead of the 50. But those 25 leads are going to be qualified, not unqualified. And so then you're going to see it's going to be a cost of $40 instead of $20, but it's costing you $40 per qualified opt-in rather than $20 for all your opt-ins. Now, here's the bit that most people miss and they freak out about it. They see that number going up, but they don't realize the underlying truth. It was probably costing you more than $40 for your qualified opt-ins previously. If you're actually really accurate, this is the number that really matters for you. The rest is just a vanity metric. So when you see that number go up, it's not something to fear. It's actually just tracking an accurate number, a number that really moves the needle on your business, rather than one that just makes you feel better without actually adding any revenue. Did your ads get worse? No, you're just actually seeing for the first time the true cost of a qualified lead. And now, more importantly, you're feeding the algorithm the data it needs to get that number as optimized as it possibly can. So remember what's going to happen here. Now, as you're doing this, it's going to go through that conditioning process to bucket 1, bucket 2, bucket 3, bucket 4. Let me find it for you here. But you're going to be doing it with that right data so that when it comes here to that qualified bucket at the end, you've got the right people in there. And that's when your campaigns can really take off and you get those really good results and you get that consistent ROAS. But if you don't endure that conditioning phase with the right data, and if you panic and freak out when it looks like your costs are spiking, you're never going to get to the place where this number is actually making sense for your business. Okay. So it's not what people do is they freak out and they go back because they want to feel better about these numbers. But these are just vanity metrics, not numbers that are really serving you. So you've got to see the true numbers that move the needle for your business and optimize around them. All right, so here's that advanced strategy that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the one that the top advertisers do to maximize their return on ad spend. Now, recognize that not everyone who schedules a call with you, even if they answer yes to the qualifying questions, is necessarily a truly qualified call, truly qualified person for you or your offer. And now what you can do is set up a custom event that fires after the closer or whoever's taken the call has recognized whether that person is truly qualified for you or not. So let's say someone books a call. At the end of that call, you say, you know what, they were a good person, really good fit for what we do, whether or not we close them. You can then mark them as a qualified call in your CRM and have an automation set up, whether that's in Go High Level or Zapier or some equivalent, that fires a custom event, qualified calls that you set up in your events manager and Meta that has the high value. So it means that the Meta is now getting another signal of the best possible people for you, and it's going to use that data to go and find more people like that. So it's an extra event that you fire when a human being is qualified that this person is really true. Because sometimes when people fill in the questions in Calendly or Typeform or whatever your application is, they're not always 100% clear. The answers aren't always necessarily 100% accurate. But this is a really good way. You've got a human level of qualifying. That data is absolute gold to Meta to find the right people for you. So people who have implemented this have seen another level of ROAS growth. They've often gone from a 3 to a 4, or a 4 to a 5, etc., simply by just doing this, because it's the highest possible data, highest quality possible data you can send back to Meta. All right, that's everything. The purpose of this video was to show you how and why using the Conversions API to only send back the qualified data is so important to making sure that your ads work properly in 2026. Remember, the algorithm is a machine learning tool. It learns based on the data that you feed it. So if you give it unqualified, unfiltered data, it's going to go and find more of that for you. Feed it the right data, qualified people, qualified leads, qualified calls and schedules, then it's going to find you more of those people. It's that simple. So if you found this helpful, please smash the subscribe button. I do videos like this every week in 2026. If it's something you'd like some help implemented, click on the link below in the description, and we'd love to jump on a call and show you how that works. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.